Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is my second time in Cyprus, and of course, coming from Belgium, we share something is the fact that there's several communities who are living in this country, like in Belgium, and as I know, many people here in the room share also the fact that they want the unity of their country. And so we struggle for the unity of Belgium, and we support, of course, the struggle for the unity of Cyprus. I think you cannot uh, face the international issue if you are not struggling against nationalism and separatism in your own country. So thank you for the invitation. And as the subtitle of the book of our General Secretary, Peter Mertens, Mutiny, puts it, the world is tilting, and this process is actively happening. This tilting world requires analysis, understanding, and action. First of all, the most fundamental shift we are witnessing is the change in the global economic center of gravity towards Asia, and more specifically towards China and India. China is no longer just an emerging market, it's a rising superpower in full development. Conversely, the United States is in the early stage of decline, and the European Union, as an old superpower, has been on a downward trajectory for even longer. These are not gradual changes. They are tectonic shifts creating shocks greater than anything we have experienced in the last 3 decades. And many people have already said that today. These turning points aren't just driven by great power competition, they are also fundamentally linked to the development of technology. We are in the midst of a double transition towards fossil free production and towards artificial intelligence. This double transition is reshaping industry, supply chains, and the very natures of work. This technological shift on crucial technology as batteries, semiconductors, and critical materials. This creates new possibilities, but also new battlegrounds. We have seen with the cowboy rhetoric of Donald Trump claims the resources of Ukraine, Panama, Canada, the Gulf of Mexico, Venezuela, Cuba, and Greenland belong to the US, so called. So this is just plain imperialism and neocolonialism, as other speakers have already said. In fact, Trump is in fact a convulsion of the past, a symptom of a superpower unwilling to give up its hegemony. In this context, the European Union struggled for its survival economically, democratically, and politically. The shift to a war economy exacerbates all tensions within the whole continent, both between member states and within the states, whose citizens can no longer bear the cost of living or the absence of democracy and a future. Second point, I will speak about the danger of rearmament, not rearmament, sorry, in Europe. First, Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, states the EU must become a major geopolitical actor and learn to speak the language of power, a declaration made even before the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Since the war of Ukraine, politics is the EU's buzzword, and war economy is the current slogan. EU member states currently spend 326 billions on armaments, about 1.9% of GDP, A decade ago, was 147 billions, meaning it has doubled in 10 years. More weapons. This is the EU's reinvented geostrategy, meaning the primacy of foreign and security policy to which all other areas are subordinated. And in this context, we've seen the reborn of German militarism. German militarism is again looking east, recalling historical parallel with the World War I against the Tsar and World War II against Bolshevism. The consensus after World War II was against to block any emergence of German militarism. Now they are pushed for Germany to be great again, so-called, militarized and be war ready. On March 18th, remember this date, 2025, the Bundestag voted on a constitutional amendment enabling the largest rearmament program since World War II. Germany is already now the fourth largest defense spender in the world. The 800 billion euro EU military package, what they called Readiness 2030, partly funded by debt and plundering social and climate funds, aims to position the EU politically and enable military interventions outside Europe. Ursula von der Leyen states the EU needs power and must use it globally. Europe wants to be a geopolitical player in the struggle with China and the US. That's the goal. And let's be clear, this indicates EU policy is about interest in raw materials, trade routes, and sphere of influence, and not human rights. Secondly, the cost of this militarization is paid by the working class, as Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, told MEPs, I quote, generally spending more on defense means spending less on other priorities. Rutte now has a mission. He wants all NATO members to dedicate not 1.9%, but 3.5% of the GDP, or even 5% of their wealth to the military. He knows where to find the money. I quote, on average, European countries easily spend up to a quarter of their national incomes on pensions, healthcare, and social security. We only need a small fraction of that money to strengthen defense. The NATO head is telling parliamentarians, politicians, that money for pension, healthcare, and social security should go to war. An economist on Belgian public television explained that the amount request corresponds roughly to a 20% reduction in all pensions. 20%. Comparing military spending's goal to social ecological ones reveals a double standard. While UN development aid targets 0.7% and climate goals are ignored to decades, military spending's target, like NATO's now 2% and probably 3.5% or 5%, are treated as sacred. Thirdly, there are internal contradictions in Europe. Some German financial circles call for European sovereignty independent of the US. The EU white paper on defense aims for 60% European production by 2035, which seems unrealistic given conflicts between national arms industry, because there is no unified command and proposal for more soldiers, envision them in 29 different national armies. We have to say that transatlantists who align with Washington dominate the European Union. particularly the Baltic states and Poland, whose identity is built on anti-communism, Russophobia, and art neoliberalism. Balts argue the EU should stop talking about strategic autonomy and accept staying under NATO Washington flag. Yet, other states as Spain and Portugal with the climate change, Greece with Turkey, Denmark with Greenland have different priorities. Despite this, EU leaders confirmed their allegiance to NATO in March 225 and seems ready to accept Trump route demands at the Hague summit at the end of June. So let me speak and conclude with the opportunity for mobilization. The world is becoming suffocated by this arms race. The logic of deterrence inevitably leads to nuclear armament for Germany and Europe. This spiral could end in a major war with many losers and few winners. History teaches that this dangerous vortex can only be broken by mutual disarmament treaties, sober diplomacy, and a strong international anti-war movement, exerting pressure from below. As Bertolt Brecht wrote, if we prepare for war, we will get war. The reality is simple. Wherever wants peace must prepare for peace, not war. Spending billions on war while people lack basic needs is the world turned upside down. We don't need NATO, we need peace. Peace is not a given, it's the result of struggle, and bending social progress demands in a different logic, daring to think outside the straitjacket of capitalism. In the face of these immense challenges, despair is a temptation, but not an option. There is a growing fury, a rage among the working class, both in Europe and the United States. People feel unheard, unseen, and unrepresented, and they are right. This energy must be channeled into a positive vision for change. History teaches that wars and armament are not stopped from above, but by those from below. The path forward lies in building a project with a long-term vision, a project to develop workers' parties to fight for socialism. This takes time, effort, discipline, and the art of strategy and tactics. But it's possible if we are patient, build trust within our movements, invest in education and unity, and dare to speak from the strength of our convictions. This system where powerful monopolies impose their greed and dominance through conquest, wars, and an economy of destruction cannot offer a future for humanity and the planet. As Rosa Luxemburg said, if it's barbarism or socialism. Peace is achieved not by giving into the dogma of rearmament, but by building new power dynamics. There is a great potential when the workers' movement and the peace movement join hands and reinforce each other. The left must not adapt to the new military consensus, but must proactively question the West's double moral standards, warmongering conflicts of interest, and destructive arms race. Those who pay the price with the standing of living, their future, their children, are the ones who can make a difference. Thank you.